This is yet another episode. My name is Munyaka Giri of this journey to priesthood. Welcome. And today we have another guest. Let him introduce himself. Alafu atueleze more about his life. Thank you so much. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Unaitwa nani? Umetoka wapi?
Asante. My name's Reverend Bernard Bwala. I am the senior pastor of Happy Church, Nairobi, based at KFA building, 3rd floor. That's where we've been for quite some time, doing ministry, doing the work of God. I was born and brought up in Nakuru. Nakuru, I was brought up in the slums of Nakuru, called Ronda. So my history, I came from a very humble family, poverty. You know, we were so poor until the poor people were feeling sorry for us of how we were poor. But one of the things that I had growing up is that I hope that one day I'll be able to come out of where I am to the place that God wants me to be. So that's where we grew up. Eating was a problem, sleeping was a problem, you know, even schooling was a problem. I schooled in a school called Langa Primary School then, and then I went to Flamingo Secondary School. In Nakuru it's known as Klabu because it used to be a club ya watu mali walikuwa nakunywa chang'aa, you know, so the school had the stigma, and even paying of the school fees was a problem because my dad could not be able to afford for me to be able to go to school. So in fact I finished paying my school fees after I came out of secondary school. So that's basically my life. But the beauty about it is that I got to receive Jesus Christ in secondary school.
We've a bit rushed, eh?
Yes.
How was your childhood?
My childhood was kind of rough. You know, you live fighting. I can call it survival because vile utakula, vile utavaa, the neighborhood we were living in was tough, rough, because they were brewing changa right in the neighborhood. And sometimes my mother, because we didn't have food, she would allow people to brew changa in our house, at least to be able to get ile naitwa mkarango. They would bring changa in our house for us to just get something to eat. That's how desperate and how bad things were. And we lived in a very hard, harsh environment because watu wa changa wako hapo, people, all kinds of people, and Ronda was a very harsh and a rough place. So my childhood, you know, you had to be rough to survive. You had to be tough to be able to survive because the environment was not as friendly as probably as now. So it was a rough survival. But I'm glad to God that I was able to survive that rough time.
Did you ever come to taste this changa?
I've come, unfortunately I can say, I never got involved in any one of this. I don't know, maybe right as I was growing, probably God's hand was upon me. Because up till now, I've never smoked, I've never drank changa, and changa was being brewed in our house.
Even cooking, you never did?
Cooking? No, that's the time I was still a young man.
Preparation?
Yeah, I was still young, growing up. So I saw how changa was being prepared, how everything was done. That was the time I was in primary school. But I never took any one of that. And we had people that were friends of mine, like our friends, they were smoking bang, they were smoking cigarette, drinking changa. But I don't know. Something just told me these things are not good. You see, there are times when you see what people are going through and you make up your mind, you say, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to go through life like this because I saw many young people's lives being destroyed. I saw many young people's lives shattered because of changa. So I grew up with this mentality. I want to be able to make a difference in my life. And if this is what is going to make my life go down, I'm going to go against it. And even Changa being in our house, I couldn't even taste it. I couldn't even taste it because I think I saw this is not what I really want. So in the midst of challenges, you can decide and make up your mind that you can make a difference. You can make a difference, because I'm going to tell you without any fear, Rwanda was not a place to be able to bring up children. But I'm telling you, you can be able to be in a hard, harsh environment, and you make up your mind that you're going to come out with something that is greater. So my growing up was not a good one, I can say. Yes.
So you've grown up, yeah?
Yes.
What next?
I went to school. I went to school in Flamingo Secondary School, and went and finished Form 4. Na shida tu. Mimi, by the way, sikuwa nangojea nifukuzwe school fees. Ile siku principal anasema anakuja kufukuza watu, tulikuwa napatana naye kwa mlango. Yeye anaingia, mimi natoka, kwa sababu it was a must, lazima ningefukuzwa school fees. There was no single day that all my school fees was paid. And so it was a matter of even survival in school, because we were born 9 of us in the family. Tulizaliwa watoto 9. And so there was a scramble for going to school. And my father was not employed well. Alikuwa ni watchman and had meager earnings. And then when I reached Form 2, something happened. My dad, somebody brought some clothes at home. These clothes were stolen. And so the police came and they said, you are harboring stolen goods. And so they took him to prison. Yeah.
How did they know these clothes were brought?
The person that had stolen alishikwa. So aliposhikwa akaambiwa apeleke mali, alipeleka nguo zingine. So alipokuja akaonyeshana kwetu, na zile nguo kwa kweli zilikuwa pale. My dad never knew. He had not known. You know, him being just a good person, helping somebody, akachukuliwa na akapelekwa prison. So Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, my dad was in prison.
No father figure.
No father figure at home. Mom is there, she's not working. She's not doing anything. All these 9 kids are looking up to her. So kwetu ilikuwa ni unajisurvivia mwenyewe. So in primary, while I was in secondary school, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there were days of me going to Mujengo. Naenda nafanya mjengo ndio unapata chakula, nafanya mjengo ndio unajaribu kulipa school fees hapa na pale. So I got to be responsible early in life.
Ya wakati ulikuwa unaweza kuinua mawe?
Mimi nilikuwa sasa si shida itafanya uinue mawe. Shida itafanya ufanye kitu yoyote kwa maisha. Shida itafanya ufanye kitu yoyote kwa maisha. Unainua mawe, unatengeneza mchanga, simiti. Mimi miguu ilikuwa imekatika kabisa kwa sababu ya simiti.
Na
Koroga na hakuna mtu anakuhurumia. You are young, wanasema umekuja kutafuta pesa. Wewe umekuja kutafuta pesa, so lazima ufanye kama watu wengine. Unainua mawe ni mzito, uko na njaa, but unaangalia, if I don't do this, all of us are going to go down.
Determination was everything.
Yes, and you must have a vision that I want to come out of this place. I want to be able to raise myself up. So you can allow distraction to destroy you, but you can also allow the vision that you are seeing to keep you and to give you momentum on whatever you are determined to be able to do. And this is where many people lose it, because people begin to see their present problem and they say this is the end. Yet this is just a beginning of where you want to be able to go. So you must see it first of all if you are ever going to become it. So that was life. Life was not good at that time. I mean, maisha ya shida, kulala njaa, ilikuwa kawaida.
Ilikuwa tu part of
hiyo ilikuwa ni kawaida. It was part of us, you know. So siku hizi mtu akikwambia nimelala njaa, by the way, anytime somebody tells me they have slept hungry or they are sleeping hungry, I will do anything I can to make sure they don't. Because I have been there and I know the pain. I know, you know, you going through a time when you don't have anything to be able to eat. Yes. So I made that decision in my life. Yeah.
So, You've gone to Mjengo. Yeah. How do you come? Umemaliza shule aje?
When I was in Form 3, I got born again. Nikaokoka. And I think that's where my journey began. That's where my journey began. I got born again and I went and I joined Happy Church Ministries in Nakuru, based in Shabab. Nilimaliza Form 3, nikamaliza Form 4, na nikafanya KCSE vizuri, na nikaanza kuendelea tuna maisha. So sikuwa na mtu wa kunipeleka college. So I didn't have anybody to take me to college. I didn't have anybody to take me to any course. My father was still in jail, you know, because he was jailed, I think it was around 7 years. Yeah, so he was there. So I just got into, mimi nilipomaliza Form 4 sasa nikuanza tu kazi. Unajua naonaga vijana siku hizi wamaliza Form 4, they are not responsible. Mimi nilimaliza Form 4 kama nimeanza kutafuta kazi, nini, all that kind of a thing. Hakuna kazi sijafanya. Mimi nimechunga ng'ombe, nilikuwa nachunga ng'ombe kule Shabab. Nimekuwa messenger kwa maofisi huko. Nilifanya kufagia, nilikuwa nafagiaga Barclays Bank kule Nakuru, hapo town Nakuru. Nilikuwa nafanya huko. I was a messenger kwa maofisi. There's nothing. I think one of the things that we need to be able to realize that when you want something, you'll be able to do anything to be able to get it.
Sure.
You are not going to look at this, I can do this, I can do that. I have hawked, I've been a hawker in town, selling these portraits, the pictures, all kind of things, and just doing anything that I can to be able to survive and to be able to push myself forward, to be able to push myself to the place of my destiny. One of the things that has been a principle in my life, where I am is not the end. I can still push to the place that I want to be in life.
Wow.
And I have come to realize that you can be anything you want in this life. You can become anything you want in this life. So I kept pushing until I went to Happy Church in Nakuru. And I think that is where my life started turning around.
How did you discover you have this call to spread the word to nations?
I went and I joined Happy Church, and I did not just start as a person that is preaching. God blessed me. I've come to realize, my brother, that you may lack something, but then it is not that you don't have anything. Mungu anaweza kukunyima kitu kimoja, lakini Mungu hawezi kukunyima kila kitu.
Kweli.
Kuna kitu tu ambacho uko nacho na ni unique. Hata wewe kuna kitu uko unique nacho ambacho mimi sina. So kila mtu kuna kitu ambacho Mungu amempatia.
Sure.
Well, in school I was not very sharp like in mathematics. I'm going to take you back. I remember when I was in class 6, one day I went to do a sum on the blackboard, mathematics. And I failed that sum. Sikuweza kuipata vizuri. And my mathematics teacher, right at the back of the class, he shouted at me and he told me, "Bwala, you will never become anything. You will only be a mkokoteni pusher."
Wewe unaambiwa mwalimu wa maths.
Mwalimu wa maths. He shouted at me and he told me, "You will never become anything." My heart broke because this man, because of one sum.
Only one sum.
Yani hesabu moja tu nilianguka. But then kwa sababu ya kuangukia hesabu, he put my life at an end and said I will never become anything. I went back because the whole class shouted in Ucheka, and my heart was broken and deep inside. I was crying, by the way, tears started rolling my face, and I said to God, "God, please don't allow me to be what He wants me to be." And that's the reason I rose up with a resolve and said, I'm not going to be that. But in other ways, God gave me, I was very good in English. My insha also, I was very good in Swahili. Insha yangu ilikuwa nasoma kwa parade because I was a good writer. So I realized kumbe nina kipawa. So unaweza kuwa kwamba haupati hesabu, lakini English ukipata na Kiswahili itakusaidia. Now I'm a writer. I've written 2 books. I've written 2 books out of that. Now my teacher said I'll never become anything. And I always tell people wherever I go to speak, never allow somebody's opinion to become your reality. You can change their opinion. It's just their opinion. Because that's what he said. It was his opinion. And I did not succumb to what my teacher said. So I decided I'm going to strengthen what I know I am strong in. And that's what I continue to do. So coming to Happy Church, one day, one of the pastors, I was still a young man. I think I went to Happy Church when I was, 19 thereby. Yeah, 18, 19 thereby. That was in 1990. That was the time I went to Happy Church. 1990, I was in Form 3. Then I finished 91 and 92. I was all that kind of a thing. Yeah, so during that age, and one person, they realized I have a gift of interpreting. So I started as an interpreter, a good interpreter from English to Kiswahili. Hata saizi mimi ni mkalimani mzuri kabisa. Ingawa sasa I'm a senior pastor. So that is how I started getting into the limelight. Because when I went to Happy Church was a big church. And with big people. You know, every time I got into Happy Church, I was intimidated. Because there were bankers, there were great people. Huyu kijana ametoka Ronda. Sasa you're just there. Mi hata nguo kuvaa ilikuwa ni shida. By the way, suti ya kwanza nilipewa na jamaa anaitwa Tony. Because hata nguo yenyewe kuvaa ilikuwa ni shida. Ulikuwa unakuja tu. So, and you see there are people who are able to see what is in you. So they saw what is in me. I started just by interpreting. And I was committed. This is one of the things that many people fail to do at. When God gives you something to do, keep your heart at it. Be committed. Be faithful. You may not be able to see the fruits today, but as you move on, as you press on, you'll begin to be able to see the fruits. And many people begin things, but then when challenges come, they draw back. They decide that I'm not going to do this thing anymore. But when you come to the place of understanding, when you keep your eyes on whatever it is, you keep it until the job is finished, then you are able to keep pursuing. So I continued with the struggles, with feeling low, down on yourself, because I had a very poor low self-esteem because of maybe where I was coming from, how things were, because things were still not yet good at that time. Everything at home, you know, you feel like ile roho ya umaskini unajisikilia huruma tu.
Ni kama inakufuata.
Yeah, ni kama inakufuata. Lakini nimekuja kurealize you must fight it.
Sure.
You must fight it. You must fight your feelings. You must fight how things are. You must fight even the environment. You must, it's a battle. It's a battle. And when you do it well, then you can be able to push through the boundaries that are there. So you need to be able to keep pushing and fighting through the boundaries that are there. So I was committed to the church. I was committed to the ministry. And so my bishops and the pastors that were there, they were able to see the zeal. Because one of the things about me, when I do something, I give it my all. I give it my everything. And I just do it from the depth of my heart. So they saw how I was, and I started to serve. And then the big break came in my life in 1995. 1995, there was an opportunity for young people to go to America, to go and lead in a team, to be in a team of evangelism. And so in the midst of all the young people in Shabab, Happy Church, I was given an opportunity.
Wow.
A young man from Rwanda. I used to tell the young people we were living with kule Rwanda that one day nitapanda ndege. I don't know, they would laugh at me. Say, wewe, sasa jiangalie. Unajua mimi nilivaa kiatu yangu ya kwanza nikiingia secondary school. Kuanzia class 1 mpaka class 8. Sikuwahi jua kiatu ni nini.
Ulikuwa unajua Futsubishi?
Futsubishi ndio ilikuwa ga yangu zote tu. Yaani mguu ilikuwa kubwa na miatoka miguu imekatika kabisa. But ile determination ya kutaka kusoma ndio ilikuwa yetu yote. So kijana anakuangalia anakuambia sasa wewe Amerika ndege utajua naje na ndege. Never allow anybody to get you out of your dream. Keep dreaming. However big and massive it is, and you feel like the circumstances are not going towards where you want, you have to keep dreaming. You have to keep on pushing. You have to keep on pursuing that dream. So 1995, an opportunity came. There was a selection, And I was given the opportunity to be able to go to America for my very first time. Everything was paid for. My ticket was paid for. My stay there was paid for. I was getting a stipend. So that was my first time to get in an aeroplane. You can imagine, kijana wa kutoka Ronda, ndio huyo ati anaenda kuingia kwa ndege. Hey, umetoka ghetto yani. Ghetto, yani hata unashangaa ni wewe. Unaingia mahali unaangalia hivi unashindwa ni mimi kweli. Mpaka haujiamini. Nilikuwa nimekaanisha hapo mzungu mmoja, mwingine pale hapo katikati. Na huko hapo wao wako katikati tu wanapiga kizungu ya nasema tu yes, you know. Ile kujichocha lazima unajichocha. Hata unajichocha ni kama hata wewe umetoka mbali sana, hata hujatoka hapa hata wewe unajichocha tu, ile unasema hata mimi wakitisha masoda hata wewe unaziitisha, you know, so
wakisha champagne.
So it was a good opportunity. It was a good opportunity. I went. I trained in a place called Philadelphia. Stayed there for quite some time.
Wow.
Then we came back with a team. We did ministry work here in Kenya. Then I was asked to lead another team. So I went back and I trained in a place called Baltimore. Yeah, so I stayed there. Then we went to other nations. That's how God started opening doors for me. I went to Grenada, I went to Barbados,
wow.
I went to these other nations that God has opened doors for me. So that's how God started opening doors,
wow.
and avenues for me as a young man. It started as a young man. And I really thank God for the opportunity. Coming from nothing, coming from insignificance, but believing that God has something great in store for me.
From grace to grace.
You continue to push on, you continue to press on. So I know the power of being nothing, and I also know the power of rising to become something in the hands of God. I know the power of coming without anything, and I also know the power of having something. And all this has taught me the lessons of humility, because it is God that can raise from the dust and make it to sit together with kings. Yeah, so that is how my journey has been, to be able to serve the Lord.
So you've joined the Happy Church.
Yes.
Then how did you become a pastor?
This is the same story now. After coming from America, I came back and I started serving as a youth chairman, and just being a person that is there. Started doing some work here and there. And so in 1999, I got married to Lydia Nyambura Bwala. That's my wife.
Before you actually.
Yes.
How did you meet?
Lydia, we met in the same church, in Happy Church. And the surprising things is that we were in the same church in Catholic, in Nakuru, but we never knew each other there.
Fate.
We came to know each other in Happy Church. Like you say, fate or God, being in the same, but then she wouldn't have wanted me, because by that time I was just nothing, you know. And so we come to Happy Church and we met as young people. So there was another branch of a church that was opened in town. So I was asked to be the choir master of it. So we gathered the young people that were supposed to be in the choir, and Lydia was one of the ladies in the choir. So that's how I spotted her. And I was the chairman. So I had the authority to appoint whoever I want to work with. So I appointed a treasurer, and I appointed her to be the secretary. So because I had started seeing this is a potential wife. So, kasema hii haipiti. Asa saa zile watu wote wameenda kwaya, nasema treasurer abaki na secretary wabaki. Tunataka kuwa na special prayers. Special prayers. Na tunashikana mikono au viongozi. Yeye akiombea kwaya, niko mimi naomba Baba, huyu si yakwe bibi yangu. Huyu si yakwe. Huyu simwachili. Of course, that's how things went, and she was going to college to be a nurse. And at first, by the way, she resisted me. When I went to ask her, I wanted to be my wife, she said, nah, not you. Not you. Because, you know, she was looking. Yeah, by the way, I was not her type. I was not her type because you know she was just looking at me vile navaa. Unajua kuna vile unavaa unakaa ni bendera ya Kenya inatembea. Nikaa bendera ya Kenya. Yani uko na blue, uko na white, uko na yellow. Yani mtu akikuona hivi anajua huyu jamaa kuna kitu tu akajaingiana tu. Because zingine ni nguo nilikuwa napeangwa tu.
So alikuwa born town that.
Yeah, alikuwa ni born town and then she has come from a good family. My wife has come from a wealthy family. Yeah, mtu mambo ya njaa kulala njaa hizo ni story hata nasikiaga zinakuaga foreign. Baka ananiambiaga siku hizi hizo stories zako sizielewagi. So hakuwa anajua mambo ya shida, sijui mambo ya viatu au una viatu, you know. So it's like two worlds apart. Yeah, mtoko upande ule mwingine, mimi upande ule mwingine. But also the power of determination. Because kuna siku aliniambia hebu nisahau kabisa na usiwahi nifikiria hata mimi kwa maisha yako, hebu nitoe kabisa. Na tuko church moja.
What was the feeling?
My goodness, that day, by the way she came one day when I was leading praise and worship pale mbele. Because she had mimi nikitaka kitu nafanyaga. I started telling people this is going to be my wife even before I told her. So she goes to this banker one day, one of the people in the church, and I'm like, congratulations. What? So we have heard. Bwala is getting married to you. My goodness. Sijui alimaliziwa hiyo service, akakuja sababu ilikuwa town. Akakuja akanipata ninaongoza service. Do you know she called me? Niachane na microphone nikuje. Sasa juu tulikuwa wengi nikamwambia nishikilie ni hapo endelee nimeitwa. Sasa nimeona Mungu amejibu maombi sasa.
Umeanza kujibu.
Maombi imeanza kujibiwa. Wacha nipeleke pale nje. Silidi alinisomea. Yaani mpaka ile unashikiwa hapa hivi. Na kaniambia unikome kuanzia leo unikome. Si niliacha hapo nje nimezubaa. By the way, I was confused. Nikashindwa nirudi ndani church ama niende wapi? Na kaniacha akatembea akiendaga. Do you know I just walked home? Niliacha hiyo service nikaenda nikiendaga. Hivyo tu nikilia tu nikisema Mungu hata hii sasa hata hii. Yani by the way sometimes rejection inaweza kuwa mbaya juu ya maisha yako. Rejection inaweza kuwa ni kitu baya kabisa. So but nikajitia moyo. Unajua lazima mwanaume unajitia moyo.
Kweli. Because
there are things utapatana na vitu. You must get all these things upatane nazo. Nikajitia tu moyo nikaendelea. But I never stopped pursuing her. Never stopped pursuing. Nikaendelea tu. Chora tu mistari unaandika tu barua, unajaribu kupiga hivi. Unajua siku hizo hakukuwa na simu siku hizo. Siku zetu za kukatiana kubuga na simu.
Mzima.
Tu barua nini. Na pia kuomba, kumtumainia Mungu na kusema Mungu let your will be done over my life. So
you just declare.
Yeah, una declare na unakufa na huyo mmoja. Unakufa na huyo.
Mungu ni huyu na ukataka kunipea huyu.
Na ni huyu kabisa. So hivyo ndio ilienda. And then of course long story short.
Stop making it short.
Long story short, ikafika mahali sasa akakubali. Finally aliingia box. Mistari zilikuwa mingi and of course za kuendelea. And of course she also saw the grace of God upon my life. Though I didn't have anything that time, but unajua kuna vile mtu anaangaliaga tu. And then you see this person, there's a future with this person. And then finally she said yes. And that time I was going back again to the US. Yes, after a long journey I was going back to the US. So I went back to the US having engaged her. Na tadi nilikuwa nimepatia ultimatum naenda US. Najua unipendi kabisa, najua unitaki. Lakini hii ya mwisho sijui kama ni US ilifanya ingie box ama ni nini.
Kijana yangu
aenda majuu.
Akienda tambi connection kuja.
So naye akasema aliomba because I told her before you dismiss me just pray about this whole thing. And she prayed. And she said, I feel it. I think that was one of my happiest day to be able to engage her. Wow. Yeah, so we got engaged and then I went and then I came back. We got married in 1999 on the 18th of December. Wow. So this year we are celebrating 25 years in marriage.
How was your wedding?
My wedding was ile wedding ya kubambanya tu. because hatukuwa na pesa. Hatukuwa na pesa pia. So ilikuwa tu ni ile hapa na pale, watu kidogo kidogo watu wanawasaidia. In fact, watu walikuja harusi yetu, kuna wenye chakula iliishia katikati kwa ya mchele.
Harusi ni mchele.
Harusi ni mchele. So wakuja niambia chakula imeisha, naambia mtakuja kula home, msijali, mtakuja kula home, msijali.
Keki ilikuwa nayo.
Keki ilikuwa tu ni ile ya kubahatisha tu. Kubahatisha tu. Yaani kila kitu ilikuwa ni kubahatisha tu. Kubahatisha tu. Inaishia katikati. Keki ndio hiyo ni ya kubahatisha tu yani. Hata watu yani waliona tu kijana tu yani tu amejaribu. Alafu najua kwa kina Lydia wao ni watu by the way walikuwa and then also there was the tribal factor. Also that is one of the things ambayo ilikuwa inafanya akatae, because the mom had said no, you are not bringing here, they say Ndorere, because I'm a Luya, she's Kikuyu. Yeah, you are not bringing that person here. Yeah, so that's after she accepted me now. Bato ingine tena ikaanza ya kwao. So unaona imekuwa ni vita tu, kumpata vita, kwenda kwao ni vita. You know, everything is just a battle.
How did you overcome it?
It was tough because the mother had said, you are not bringing that kabila here. So you, in fact, kuna wakati mamake alichukua nguo zake zote, alikuwa anataka kuzichoma kiberiti na yeye amdunge kisu, hiyo mambo ishi hapo hivi. So she just escaped within a very small fraction of time, because the dad came akasindwa, nini inaendelea hapa hivi. So she said mama nataka kunimaliza juu ya A, B, C, D, you know, all that kind of a thing. So dad akaingilia, intervened. So it took a lot of time. In fact, our wedding stayed, would have wedded probably earlier, but because of that we say tutawapatia time so that they are able to settle wakubali. And so we also entered into prayer. Every Wednesday we were praying and fasting for that, until one day the mother herself, she said, call that young man.
Uende na uoga.
Sasa unajua uende ujue utafanywa nini. Unaenda, tulikuwa ndani ya gari, sasa nilikuwa naomba Mungu kama ndio siku yangu ya mwisho.
Kamla mkagita ndio.
Kumbe nilikuwa naenda kupata good news. Kaniambia nimekubali nimekubali na chochote ambacho uko nacho utakuja nacho. Yeah, so hata dawari yenyewe ilikuwa tu ni shida. Just taking whatever small was there. Relatives hawako, ni wewe unajipeleka mwenyewe. Yani tu ni ile shida. Yani wakikuangalia tu hivi wanao. You know, I was the definition ya shida.
Andi wazee hakuna.
Mimi ndio nilikuwa definition ya shida yani. Maisha yangu ilikuwa tu definition, ukiniangalia tu hivi right. Yani ni kijana tu wa kuhurumiwa. Hata huko nilihurumiwa tu. Because hata zile vitu nilistiwa. Naambia bana hii hata
hauna hivi.
Hata niachilieni tu kae naye. Kama Mungu atasaidia huko mbele ni. But finally baadaye, when God blessed me, I went back to appreciate the parents. I went with an entourage of my elders, people. And you see, I've come to realize, never despise somebody's today.
Yes.
Because their tomorrow is in the hands of God.
Humble beginnings.
Yes, it's in the hands of God. It's in the hands of God. So finally we got married and we started our journey. But then the journey for ministry also started also there. Because mimi nilikuwa nimeamini nitatajirikia Marekani. So after marrying Lydia for 1 year, nikarudi America. Hapana, alibaki hapa sababu hakuweza kupata visa. Niende nifanye makaratasi akuje huko. Sasa mimi nilikuwa najua naenda kuokoka. Na kuokoka yangu ya Amerika. Sasa najua Mungu anakuwa na njia tofauti. Mungu anakuwa na njia tofauti. By the way, me growing up I hated poverty kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa na definition ya poverty. Najua kulala njaa, najua kwenda na nguo na viraka. Mimi najua kufukuzwa nje ya nyumba, kufukuzwa nyumba imefungwa, hamjui mtalala wapi na kesho uko shule. All those kind of things. Najua nyumba kuja kusombwa na maji. Me, I went to America thinking that's where my fortune is going to come from. little did I know God's assignment over my life. I think before you do anything, you need to ask God.
Consultation from God.
Consult from God. Where do you want me? Because it is not everywhere that you are supposed to be. I've come to realize that everybody has their different assignment in a certain place. There are some, the assignment is in America. Some, the assignment is in the UK. Some, the assignment is in Europe. But some people, God has assigned them to be able to be here. Yeah, so I went and I was looking to be able to make some good money. And now this is dollars, man. And I knew I would start saying, man, I'm saying the dollars, oh man, yo, man.
You don't know.
You know me, y'all. Yeah, from Kenya. Hata said in Ambadilikada. I'm from Kenya.
From Kenya.
Yeah, from Kenya. And so we wanted to shift and to be able to go there and to do ministry there. And so my wife, I started looking for opportunity for her to come there because she's a nurse. I got a full scholarship from Villanova University.
Wow.
And we sent it here for her to get the visa to join up with me. And the first time she went, she was denied a visa. And so we were praying with some pastors here. So one day a pastor calls me and tells me, I was not even a reverend or I was just a pastor. He said, Pastor, jana niliota nikikuona ukirudi kwa meli. Unajua, unarudi. Badala zati nikai huko hivi. Ati niliota. Unajua, hiyo ndoto zile zenye, I bind you in the name of Jesus Christ. Mimi naomba bibi yangu anifuate huko hivyo unaota ndoto ati kwanza narudi ndani ya meli. Pastor, by the way, nilikuwa na huyo pastor. Niliona nikaa ni pepo.
Anakufungia nyota.
Huyo pastor ananifungia nyota. Ati ameota nikirudi. My friend, nimefika dollar land. Alafu nirudi. But you cannot even think about it. Because you know, wewe umeona umefika. Umeona umefika sasa. Mandoto kama hizo ni zile za shinde. Kumbe, that was God speaking and I did not know. Sometimes you don't like hearing the voice of God. I went the second time. My wife had everything she needed to get her visa. And she could not be able to get her visa. The second time she was denied the visa.
Bado meli inakuja.
Bado meli nikama. The third time, it was the wife of our bishop who God spoke and silently God told her their ministry is not abroad. Their ministry is here in Kenya. At that time, there was no senior pastor in Nairobi Happy Church. And so they were scouting for a pastor. So the first time, the second time, the third time, she could not be able to get a visa. I decided, because we were only married for 1 year, I decided for the sake of my family. But then nilikutana na mchungaji huko hivi akaniambia, wewe ni mjinga sana.
Yes.
Unarudi Kenya. Unarudi Kenya. By the way, I remember this very well. I was in Washington, D.C. I'd met him. Hey, I was in Washington, D.C. He told me, you will die a poor man. I said, let me die poor, but uphold my integrity. Let me die poor man, but uphold my integrity. Because hata yeye alikuwa ameacha bibi hapa. Alikuwa ameacha bibi hapa hivi. Na mpaka wa leo hajawahi rudi. Bibi anazururaga tu huko hivi. By the way, after I think a month or two, nilifungasha virago. I came back. Wajua huwa tunatoka na pump and color naenda US. My friend, nilifika na nini flight ya usiku. Kachukuliwa airport. Umerudi kwa nyumba.
Uko humble.
Nilipigwa na depression ya miezi 3. Hautoki kwa nyumba. Sasa huna kitu ya kufanya. Unaenda wapi? Hauna kazi hapa Kenya sababu nilikuwa nimeresign everything. Badola nimekuja nazo chapa zimeanza kuisha. Si family iliposikia nimekuja wamekuja. Nilikuwa na madola kiasi kadhaa. Amerudi kwanza watu wa nyumbani wanduweingo. Wamekuja.
Wamepotea kwanza.
Wote wamepotea, kijana amerudi, madola umepiga. Now you are looking for your next direction for 3 months. stayed in the house, didn't know what to do, didn't know the step to take. I've come from abroad, you know, nikikuja mwezi wa kwanza ilikuwa here man, yeah. Wacha dola ziishe, hata accent inaishaga. I have some dollar here man. Just came from America. Pesa ikiisha kumbe accent inaisha, unazaga, we, tiga wana, we. Kedo, mimi mtu wa huku, wacheni mambo mingi man. Pesa ikiisha accent inaishaga. I'm telling you the truth. Sasa unaanza lugha hapa mtaani bana, uko na kobole hata kizungu yenyewe sasa imerudi ile ya nyumbani mpaka karibu ingize ya kachimeka so unaanza ku restart. But I've come to realize that every time you get to a bump or a stop, don't allow your life to stop. You need to keep moving, keep pushing. That you've reached the end of this world does not mean that there's no other place you cannot exit from. There are many exits that you can be able to get.
Sure.
The problem is that many times when we hit the wall, our dreams crash, our vision die, and everything about us just crashes. And that is not supposed to be like that. And I started pushing myself up with what little thing I heard. And I'm thankful for my wife, because at that particular time, she was providing for everything. It's good to have a good wife. You know, you either have a wife or you have a knife. If you have a knife, my brother, when you don't have money, make sure you marry a wife. Sasa hiyo ndio unaambiwa wewe umekaa chini unasikia inua miguu juu. Unajua unaambiwa utoke ukatafute kazi. Anapita na miguu yako hivi akwandi.
Kazi yako ni kuwekelea miguu kwa kiti.
But my wife really encouraged me through that season of the wilderness that I was going through, and she was a great encouragement. Wow. And it was at that time that my presiding, my bishop, my apostolic bishop Kamau, they were looking to be able to bring the senior pastor of Nairobi Happy Church. We were still young. We didn't even have children. Children is also another story on itself. Because tuligonga miaka 5 bila watoto. You know, in the events of things. So we came. We were still very young. We were still, I think, in our 20s. Came to Nairobi from Nakuru. You know that. I mean, it was a big switch. You know, Nakuru was a good town, small town. Unaweza pita hapo unapata mboga pale hivi pondamali unaenda unachukua nini. But then Nairobi, this big city, jamaa tujawahi kaa city. By the way, we were scared to come to this city because we didn't know how it was to be. Still young, bado sisi ni vijana wachanga bado we didn't have any experience. Hatukuwa na experience yote of pastoring a church. Tukakuja tukakuwa damta hapa. Sasa ni tuanzane na maisha tena hapa hivi, starting from zero, because the church had not grown. Just, I think, a handful of people. You have to pay for the rent, do everything, pay for ourselves, all those things. Sasa ni kuanza tena, kuanza vision ya kile Mungu amekusudia hapa hivi. Sasa hiyo, my wife is a junior staff kule Kiambu, she's a nurse. Mimi hapa kanisa ndio hiyo. Hakuna income mzuri, mko tu hivyo kuanza kuingana. But ile motisha tulikuwa nayo ilitusaidia. By that time hata tulikuwa bado tujapata watoto, and we were being mocked, by the way. We were being mocked by people. I remember one day I was in church and I was holding somebody else's baby. Na mama fulani ambaye alikuwa ametuona kwa muda tujapata watoto. She came and right in the middle of the service, and she told me, wewe utakuwa unabeba tu watoto wenyewe, si tafute mtoto wako mwenyewe upate mtoto wako. It's like a knife.
You've been stabbed.
Just gone through. And you see, sometimes we say words to people and we don't know the kind of impact those words can ever have. We need to be very careful with the words that we speak to people. My own mother had said that I would never get children because according to the Luya culture, if you are an older brother, ama kama uko mbele ya wasichana and they get children na wewe hujapata, ni kama wamekufungia. Cultures. But then God proved them wrong, because later we got children.
Wow. And
God blessed us with children. My firstborn is in the university right now. Yeah, so I thank God. So we came to Happy Church, and we started pastoring this church. And by all means, we have seen the grace of God lifting us from one level to another, And God has been blessing us and continue to lift our ministry. It's been growing by the grace of God.
What challenges did you go through grow your ministry?
Number one, we were still young. And so people who are older than us were there. So sometimes we don't know how to deal with them. We don't know how to counsel them. We don't know how to handle them. So that was one of the challenges. The other challenge was financial challenges, of course. When the money is not there, you want to do ministry, you want to be able to expand, you want to be able to go into other things. You are constrained because of the finances. You cannot do like big meetings because you are constrained with the finances. So those are some of the challenges we faced, but God helped us. But one of the things that I decided and has been of a great help is working together with my wife in the ministry. Working together and being able to give the vision of where we are going, the vision of the place that we desire God to be able to take us. So through all these challenges, we've been able to move together. Even one of the challenges those days, we could come, pray for barren women, wanapata watoto, na nyinyi hamuna watoto. Sasa unashindwa Mungu. By the way, kuna mama alikuja tukamwombea na alienda akaita mtoto jinangu. Kwa sababu tu yani ya kufurahia. Amepata sana shindo Mungu, kwani mimi siwezi jiekelea mkono ni na mimi nipate mtoto. So those challenges they come. And then you are able to overcome. And I think as we were talking during the time of a short break is that sometimes men of God go through challenges. And it is those challenges that make them, they strengthen them, they make them to be people who God can be able to use. So that when I tell somebody what I've gone through, they are able to see the hand of God in it all. Sure. Can you imagine if everything was just good and smooth? You not even have a testimony to tell people. Sure. But through the challenges, through the pain, through the struggles. I mean, there was a time I even quit because there was no money. Na nikaacha kanisa, by the way.
Ukaambia Mungu kanisa ni yako.
Kanisa ni yako, na nikaacha kanisa, nikachukua ndege, nikaenda London. Nilikuwa watchman.
Umeacha kanisa nani?
Wazee tu wa kanisa wako huku hivi na my wife wako huku hivi. Mimi niko London nachapa watchman. Nilienda kufanya kazi ya watchman huko. Pate ma pounds. Kakaa huko hivi miezi 6. Kaambia my wife, mimi nimesurrender. Na nataka kuandika resignation letter yangu. Niachane na kazi hii ya Mungu, mimi niende nifanye mambo zingine. Kwa sababu ya pressure, haupati kile unataka, that kind of a thing. Nikiongea hivi ninajaribu ku-encourage hata wale wachungaji wana come up. Ni kwamba you go through all these pressures, but you need to keep on the vision. You need to keep on pushing because challenges will come. Somebody said, challenges are the food for champions. Any person that wants to be great, you must eat these challenges for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And that is what makes you, that's what makes your muscles to be strong. Mi saizi si hesitation na kitu yoyote. Because umepitia almost everything. Asa hakuna kitu ingine inaweza ikakutisha. So you are able to go through all those challenges. But so my wife told me to come back. Ndio niandike resignation nikiwa hapa hivi. But she never wanted me to be able to leave. So I came back, wrote my resignation letter, took it to my bishop. Niliipeleka mwenyewe. So alipopata, aliona ujamaa, ni shida tu. Ujamaa pengine anahitaji ugali tu saa mbili tu. Atakuwa tu sawa.
Arudi home.
Huyu akikula ugali ya shibe. Na baadaye bishop alikuja, akabaia tu ugali hapo. Asema si resign tena. Mana, the problem, my last letter kwa file yangu ni letter ya resignation. So mi hata ni pastor nili resign, lakini niko tu.
By God's grace.
Niko tu kwa grace ya Mungu. Bishop akipulio letter hivi aniambia si uli resign. Chomoka. So akuja kanilia ugali, katulia. So niko.
Alisema mkombero lazima.
Ejo mlio ukimpea chakula anatulia. Mlio kimwekea tu ugali. Njaa tu inawasumbuaga.
Njaa.
Kimulisha ashibe. Ako tu.
So kanisa unaendelea nayo.
Kanisa, by the way, hiyo time kanisa yetu ika expand. Baada sasa kuweka my mind, whatever comes, Bishop came, he encouraged us, gave us the encouragement, and we went on with the ministry. And that's the time, by the way, our ministry started seeing some change, and God blessed us, and we've continued to do the ministry of God.
Wow.
Yeah, so the church is strong. I am the senior pastor by the grace of God, and they also saw the work that I was doing. I was appointed to be the overseer of this region of Nairobi.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm the overseer of this region of Nairobi. Right now, our church, we have a mega project that we are undertaking because we want to shift and go to our own place. Wow. We have found land in Dandora, 1 acre piece of land, going for 27 million. So we are raising that money to be able to go to our own place. And we believe by the end of this year, we shall be in our own place.
Sure. By
the grace of God.
Oh, amen.
So that's where we are. That's our ministry has been. And I thank God because it's been a journey of seeing the grace of God from one level to another, to the glory of God.
Before we wind up,
Yes.
What's the best, how can I say? What's the best thing that has ever happened in your life while in the ministry?
The best thing, I mean, I've seen many best things.
The best.
Of course, many best things that I've seen lives being transformed. I've seen people changed. One of the best things that I remember with a lot of nostalgia, I know, people can talk about money, all this kind of a thing, but one of the things that has made me to be strong, one day there was a lady that was going to commit suicide. And she passed through the KFA building, and we were doing lunch hour meetings. She had a rope and rat, and she was going to Uhuru Park to go and commit suicide. And when she heard the speaker, she decided, okay, before I go there, let me just, for the last time, go up and maybe talk to somebody. So she climbed up the stairs and got my secretary, and then she was ushered in my office. She started crying. I didn't know her. I allowed her to cry. She cried, and then she told me, Pastor, I was not even a reverend. I was going to Uhuru Park to commit suicide. Akatoa rat. Na akatoa alikuwa na kamba, sijui alikuwa afanye nini namna gani. But I've come to this office to be able to just speak to a person before I go do that. Thankfully, I spoke to her, I allowed her to cry, spoke into her life, and she gave her life to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And I started discipling her. She became a member of our church, and she never went to commit suicide. Among so many other things that I'm able to encounter, that comes out as a major thing. That God had placed me here because of such a life. And after that, many have come. And many other things that God has done to us in the ministry. Yeah, seeing lives being transformed. I think that's the major thing. I can say I've done this, I've built this, I've driven this, I've gone here and everything. But for me, seeing people come, people who are hopeless coming, they find hope. And you can be able to see them, and they can attest, if it were not for Reverend Wala, I would not be here today. I think to me, that gives me joy that you're touching lives and bringing transformation in people's lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a touching story.
We thank God. We thank God. We thank God.
And how can one get you?
I am located at the KFA building, 3rd floor. That's where we are. Happy Church Ministries International. That's where I am all the time. I'm also an author. I've written 2 books. One is a motivational book, Aspiring for Success. Yes, you can. And I tell people you can come from nothing and become something. The second one is Breaking the Stronghold of Barrenness. This is a testimony of what we went through, the barrenness of having no children, and God blessed us with children. Yeah, so I am at the KFA building. That's where I am, and that's where we are doing ministry and the work of God. I'm open for people to come, pray together, talk to them, encourage them, because I was helped, so I'm ready to help other people to achieve their destiny.
If someone wanted to call you,
yes.
Which number would they?
Okay, my main number is my Safaricom, 0720 669 438.
Repeat again.
0720 669 438. That is my number. I only have that one number, so you can be able to get me anytime.
Hakuna ingine ya kando kando.
Nimekuwa na hii namba sijui miaka yangu yote tu. Sijawahi badilisha namba, na kuaga tuna hiyo peke yake.
Simon peke yake.
Very simple.
Wow.
Inakuwa ni vizuri kabisa.
That's so nice.
Yes.
And we are very grateful.
Thank you.
For your testimony.
Yes.
And na Mungu endelee kuneemesha.
Amen.
That's our prayer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on this interview. I take it as a great privilege for you to have me here. God bless you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We're much humbled.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
To our viewers, thank you so much. You've heard his story. It's not just a walk in a park. Amepitia mingi. So he has given his number. If you want some of his books, that's his number on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Munyaka Gidraf. Till next time, bye-bye.